Welcome into the Carlos Correa Multiverse. In this video, in this stream, because we are live, just like we did the Freddie Freeman Multiverse live. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do that. We're going to do it live, basically to keep me on my toes, because there's a lot that goes into this. There's some pieces that would usually be produced and give me a chance to start over and edit and all that. Forget it. We're going to do this live. We're going to try to get through this without any hiccups, screw-ups, mess-ups, whatever. So hit that like if you're rooting for me to get through this thing. And let's see what happens. So welcome in everybody. Again, make sure to subscribe, stay close to the channel, hit that like, all those wonderful things. In this video, we're going to dive into the different scenarios that could play out depending on where Carlos Correa actually lands. Okay, we have word that he has turned down a 10-year, $275 million contract from the Tigers, which begs me to ask the question, what universe does he think he's living in? I would take that money. I don't know how much more you're going to get. I know the AAV on that Tigers deal is less than it was for the Astros deal. I think what he wants is the AAV for the Astros for the length of time for the Tigers. What does he actually get? We'll find out. That's not necessarily what this video is about, to talk about the dollar amount. It's to talk about if Carlos Correa goes to a handful of teams that he's been mentioned with, what happens next? Where do the next dominoes fall? What happens in that version of the Carlos Correa multiverse? So let's get into this thing. No more delay. Very first, right off the bat, let's check in and see what's going on. Let's see how things are going with the timekeepers. Things are looking good. The timekeepers have everything in line. So good stuff there. Thank you, timekeepers. We appreciate that. Timekeepers have everything going. So we're in good shape. So let's get into this thing. Let's take a look at the map and let's talk about what happens if Carlos Correa, with our very first timeline split, Carlos Correa is going to go to the, again, right off the bat, first timeline split, we're going to have Carlos Correa going to the New York Yankees. It is going to be the Yankees on the very first timeline split. So let's get into this thing. Carlos Correa, if he goes to the Yankees, if he shocks everybody. So, there are groups, pockets of Yankee fans that want this to happen. So it would not be a shock to them, okay? But to me and to a lot of fans, a lot of Yankee fans, it would be a shock to see Carlos Correa end up with the Yankees. So in this first version of the Carlos Correa multiverse, we're going to have him go to the Yankees. So what happens next? Next up, it is going to be, we got a lot of players on the board here. So we're going to go through this. Luke Voit is going to be the first piece on the move. Luke Voit is going to go to the Milwaukee Brewers. They have to free up some room. They're going to move pieces around. Correa is going to be your shortstop. You move Torres to second. DJ LeMahieu's got to go to first. So Luke Voit to the Brewers in a trade that gives the Brewers their center fielder, because coming back to join Correa is going to be Lorenzo Cain. So the Yankees work this out. They get Correa and they get Cain in this version. We keep on moving though. What happens next? So the Yankees make the splash with Correa. What about Freddie Freeman? Where is Freddie Freeman going to go? Well, we're not going to steal Carlos Correa's thunder. So Freddie Freeman will go back to the Atlanta Braves. No big crazy stories here. Freddie Freeman goes back to the Atlanta Braves. Joining him in Atlanta will be Jorge Soler as the Braves put some pieces back together from their championship team. Now, with the Yankees making the splash for Correa, the Red Sox feel like they need to make a big move, and they are going to make that big move. They will bring Matt Olson to Boston. They will make a trade, send a truckload of prospects to the Oakland Athletics, and bring Matt Olson into Boston. So now, Correa is gone. The Astros need a shortstop. They've been linked to Trevor Story. They are going to get that deal done. We send Trevor Story to the Houston Astros as they get the shortstop back. Trevor Story, the asking price is lower than Carlos Correa. Nice fit there for the Houston Astros. They get Story. Next up, after Story goes to Houston, we knew Seattle was in on Story. They miss out. So in an attempt to still improve the team, they go to the next piece that they have been linked to, and that is Chris Bryant. We know Bryant's probably not going back to San Francisco with their spending thoughts in mind. In this situation, that holds true. Chris Bryant is the piece that goes to the Seattle Mariners. So now the Blue Jays What happens now? Because the Blue Jays were in on Bryant. You certainly think maybe Story could be an option because they were in on Seager. What are the Blue Jays going to do now that Bryant's off the table? The Blue Jays have to make a trade. The Blue Jays have to make a trade to improve the team, and they make the blockbuster trade. Jose Ramirez to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have to keep up. They see what New York did. They see what Boston did. Bryant is not an option. Bryant went to Seattle, so the way the dominoes are falling, Jose Ramirez goes to the Toronto Blue Jays. Tampa, they see what's going on. They're not going to sit this out. So in a world where this is not all going down, maybe Nelson Cruz does not go back to Tampa, but now they need him. They need that pop. They see the lineups improving across the American League East. So Nelson Cruz goes to the Tampa Bay Rays. One team that was making a big splash at this whole free agent frenzy before the CBA deadline was the Texas Rangers, right? And they're seeing everything that's going on. They see Houston bring in Story. They see Seattle bring in Bryant. So they see the West getting bigger. They see their competitors potentially in the playoffs in the American League East getting better. So the Rangers have to make a move. The Rangers go and get Seiya Suzuki, and they go and get the other pitcher that they have been linked to, Clayton Kershaw. The Rangers need pitching. They go and get the pitching with Kershaw. So they get Kershaw, they get Suzuki, and the Rangers are in the mix. Now, Angels fans, something's got to happen, right? The rotation is not going to work. Look what's happening across the American League West. The Angels have to get off the couch, get in the game, overpay, if you will, but it's got to happen. Carlos Rodon to the Angels has to happen. That's a move that they have to make. So we send Rodon to the Angels. Now, a lot of this has been focused on the American League, right? But the National League is certainly not sitting this out. The Phillies see Freeman and Soler to Atlanta, and all the other pieces going to the American League. So they get going. They're going to start a run that impacts the rest of the National League East and the National League West. So the Phillies, what are they going to do? The Phillies are going to go and get Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber is going to head to Philadelphia. And to bolster the bullpen, to lock down that closer situation, Knebel can set up Craig Kimbrell. So the Phillies sign Schwarber and trade for Craig Kimbrell. Big moves there for Philly that kind of takes him out of the running financially for Nick Castellanos. So Castellanos is looking for another spot. Where's Castellanos been linked to? Where's he going to go? Miami. Miami is going to land Nick Castellanos as they sort of take a big leap. They see what the Phillies do. They go get Nick Castellanos. All right, here's the situation. We've got all these moves. What are the Mets going to do? You know, Epler and Cohen are not sitting this out. Phillies have made a couple moves. Miami just snagged Castellanos, so the Mets have to stay active in this scenario. So what are they going to do? Mets are going to make a big trade. The Mets make the trade for Chapman and Manaea. So Chapman and Manaea come to New York with the trade with Oakland. They send a couple prospects. They send J.D. Davis. They're going out west to Oakland, and the Mets bring in Chapman and Manaea. You get your elite defender in Chapman. You get the rotation addition that you're looking for. So they go and they improve the team without also having to go out and spend a ton of money that they would have to spend potentially on Bryant. They can get Chapman and Manaea some more team-friendly deals there for those two. So the Mets are doing their thing out west. What's up with Anthony Rizzo, right? In this scenario, what's happening with Anthony Rizzo? The Yankees have moved on because they got Correa. The Red Sox made the bigger move, and they got Matt Olson. So other teams that have been linked to Rizzo, where's Rizzo going to go? Well, who else was in on the Freddie Freeman sweepstakes that hasn't done anything yet? That's the LA Dodgers. We're going to send Anthony Rizzo to the Dodgers. They go and get his lefty bat to the Dodgers. Rizzo goes. They are also going to bring back their closer. They're going to bring back Kenley Jansen. He's coming back to the Dodgers as well, as they've missed out on a lot of pieces. So they got to make sure they can bring back one of their own there with Kenley Jansen. And they're going to make another splash. Listen, I think this could be a one-year deal. Maybe it's a multi-year deal, but I think it's a one-year deal. Michael Conforto goes to LA to prove himself. We'll get the big multi-year deal in 2023 after having a monster year for the Dodgers. The Dodgers go and get Michael Conforto. Now, the Rockies, Listen, the Rockies are not totally folding it in. They're going to make a move. Jock Peterson is going to Colorado. I want Jock Peterson to Colorado just because I think Jock Peterson could probably hit 40 home runs if Colorado gave him a full run. So Jock Peterson is going to Colorado. Now, San Francisco, right? San Francisco is not going to be making any big 9-figure moves, so they're going to go get a couple of nice pieces here. Eddie Rosario, they got to keep pace with what the Dodgers are doing, so Eddie Rosario's coming to San Francisco, and they still could use one more pitcher to complete the rotation, and Michael Pineda is that piece. So they bring in Rosario, they bring in Pineda, San Francisco gets upgraded. Now, the Padres, right? The Padres can't sit and do absolutely nothing. So what are the Padres going to do? They're going to go get Andrew McCutchen. They need to do something else for that outfield spot. Okay, Jerks and Profar cannot be your left fielder. That just isn't going to get it done. And they still could use maybe a little bit more, quite frankly, could the Padres. So they're going to get one more piece, and it's going to be Kyle Seager. So Seager goes to San Diego along with McCutchen. He'll be the DH. He's going to give the Padres more pop. Go hit 30 home runs for San Diego. They're going to need that with Hosmer. If they're going to, in this situation, in this universe, they are saddled with Hosmer. So they need some pop. They go and they get Seager. So there it is. Now you see some other players left on the board here. We will get to them in the next version, but here is the version. If he goes to the Yankees, the dominoes that fall, you can see. And let me make myself go away for a second so you can see the board all the way. Okay, you've got Correa and Kane to the Yankees, Voit to the Brewers, the Braves, Freeman and Soler, the Red Sox, Olsen, the Astros get Story, the Mariners get Bryant, the Jays trade for J-Ram, Nelson Cruz to the Rays, Texas gets Suzuki and Kershaw, the Angels overpay for Rodon. They got to get that deal done. The Phillies set off a series of moves in the National League with Schwarber and Kimbrel coming over. Castellanos goes to Miami. The Mets trade for Chapman and Manaea. The Dodgers bring in Rizzo, re-sign Jansen, and get Conforto on a one-year deal. Jock Peterson goes to Colorado to hit 40 home runs. Rosario and Pineda are two team-friendly deals for San Francisco. We like what they got there. And it is Kyle Seager and Andrew McCutchen going to the San Diego Padres as we complete this first Carlos Correa Multiverse to the New York Yankees. Next up, we got another big deal, but let's sort of reset some things because after all of that, we got to reset the timeline. Okay, timeline is reset. Things are back to normal. Carlos Correa is a free agent that is just turning down 10-year, $275 million deals. We are good. Wait, hold on a minute. I'm getting word that... Really? The variant is on the move, ladies and gentlemen. We have another situation here. Carlos Correa is on the move. Again, the variant has switched to the Chicago Cubs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Carlos Correa. It is the Chicago Cubs. Okay. You thought the Yankees were crazy. This is crazy on a whole new scale. So we got Correa to the Cubs. What is going to happen? It's going to start out with the National League Central. We're going to see more moves in the Central. If you watch the Correa to the Yankee portion and you're like, what about the NL Central? What about the Cardinals? What about the Brewers? What about? Here we go. If Correa goes to the Cubs, the Brewers are going to be the team that trades for Matt Olson. We send Matt Olson to the Milwaukee Brewers. And on top of that, that's not it. They're going to go sign Nelson Cruz. So they get lefty and righty pop, do the Milwaukee Brewers trading for Olson and signing Cruz. Now the Cardinals see this, what's going on, and they're like, no, wait, we can't. We need more. So it's the Cardinals that go get Kyle Schwarber to improve. He'll be the DH. Kyle Schwarber goes out there to St. Louis, and he is joined as the Cardinals look to bolster their bullpen. If those are the bats, if that's what's going on with the lineups across the National League Central, certainly some bullpen help will help. Ryan Tepera, one of the best bullpen arms available right now, goes to the St. Louis Cardinals. So the National League Central certainly impacted by Carlos Correa going to the Cubs. The Yankees, they still need to do something. This fires up the trade bandwagon for the Yankees, and the Yankees will trade for Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte to the Yankees, and yeah, they're going to give something up. They're going to give Gleyber Torres up. Gleyber Torres to the Diamondbacks, along with Luis Gil and some other prospects. That's the asking price. That is what it costs to get Ketel Marte to the Yankees. Torres and Gil go to Arizona. Now, the Blue Jays see what's going on. The Blue Jays are not going to be without a move if they see Ketel Marte coming to the American League East. So they go, without making the trade, they go and get Chris Bryant. Hold on to the prospects. Chris Bryant comes to Toronto. Seattle had been in the mix for Story, right? They got to get on their horse because now it's one big piece left, and they get Story. Story goes to Seattle in this situation. Now, Houston is all of a sudden out of a shortstop, right? Story was an option. Not going to happen. Correa, he's gone. The shortstop situation is dried up for Houston. They have some prospects, but they're not that elite, and they might not be that ready. So Houston is going to go and bring in a shortstop. We're going to send Andrelton Simmons to the Houston Astros, sort of a filler. 1-year deal, good defensive piece. Let the other bats hit. And maybe those other shortstop prospects that you have will come up and they'll be good for you and you can move on from Simmons after a year. But he at least fills the defensive hole that will be left by Correa leaving. What happens with Freddie Freeman? Again, we're not going to steal the thunder from Carlos Correa. Freddie Freeman will go back to Atlanta. I still think at the end of the day, that is the odds-on favorite, is him to go back to Atlanta. So we had sent Freeman back to Atlanta. And last time Soler went with him, but this time Jock Peterson will go back to the Atlanta Braves. We'll have Peterson, we'll have Freeman back in Atlanta as Atlanta restocks. How about Rizzo? The Yankees were unable to take care of that big financial ticket, right? So maybe they still have some money. Ketel Marte is on a very nice team-friendly contract, so the Yankees still have some money to spend, and this time Rizzo goes to the Yankees. So the Yankees land Ketel Marte and Anthony Rizzo. Good pieces there for the Yankees, sort of completing that whole lefty bat situation now with Joey Gallo. New hitting coach gets Gallo right. You got Ketel Marte, switch hitter. Anthony Rizzo's back. So the Yankees now have a very balanced lefty-righty lineup situation going on. How about Texas? Same thing. Texas is not sitting this out. They see the Yankees, they see the Blue Jays, they see Seattle doing their thing. Seattle bringing in Story. What does Texas do? More financially friendly deals in terms of, listen, you spent the big money on Seager and Simeon. Go spend a little bit more money to keep that offense. I still think you could use another piece for the offense. They do that. They go get Eddie Rosario, and they're going to bring Clayton Kershaw. Again, Clayton Kershaw, again to Texas. Just the arm they need. It's Texas or the Dodgers, right? I think we can all agree about that. In this world, Texas needs that starting pitcher. They see these other teams in the American League improving. They see Seattle improving. They have to make a move. They do. They bring in Kershaw, and they bring in Rosario. Next up, J-Ram's still getting traded, guys. Jose Ramirez is still getting traded. I think it makes so much sense for Cleveland to try to make that trade this offseason. You'll get a boatload back. You'll get more than you got back for Lindor. Jose Ramirez, Mets fans, here you go. Jose Ramirez to the Mets. J-Ram to the Mets. There has been talk about it over the last about year and a half that it could be a landing spot for them. The Mets send a boatload of prospects. They send some major league talent to Cleveland, and they get Jose Ramirez. Big move there. And they lock in J-Ram. Next, the Phillies, of course, have to do something now because they just saw that happen. So what does Philly do? They go out and get one of the best pieces left. They're going to get They're going to get Nick Castellanos, and they got to make sure they can close out games. So they get the best closers still available. Kenley Jansen and Nick Castellanos to the Phillies in this Carlos Correa verse. Next up, Miami still doesn't want to sit things out. They're starting to make moves to compete. They will bring Michael Conforto in, another outfield piece. That seems to be the way Miami still wants to make some moves to improve the outfield. So they're going to go get Michael Conforto. San Francisco, of course San Francisco, they got to still do something, right? they're going to get Seiya Suzuki. Suzuki is now my pick for San Francisco just in general. So we're going to put him on San Francisco in this situation. Ultimately, I think this is the most likely scenario, guys. If you want to know for real, I think this is the most likely scenario, him going to the Cubs. So let's get another one of my most likely picks, and that is Suzuki to San Francisco. Soler to San Diego, as San Diego has work to do in that outfield. Again, you cannot have Jurickson Profar as your left fielder. Next up, the Dodgers. The Dodgers see Suzuki go to San Francisco. They see Soler go to San Diego. They have got to make some moves. They are the team that goes and gets Carlos Rodon. They snatch Carlos Rodon away from the Angels. Rodon to the Dodgers. And they are going to make a trade with Oakland. Oakland looking to get rid of pieces. They make a trade and they get Matt Chapman. So Turner will be the DH. Matt Chapman is your third baseman for the Dodgers in this scenario. And then the final piece, the final move. Every single one of these that we do, this is going to happen at least once. And the logo is kind of hidden by Kenley Jansen, so let's move Kenley a little bit. Andrew McCutchen closes us out and has a reunion in Pittsburgh. Listen, it kind of makes sense, right? All the moves, the NL Central is so heavy in this version with the Correa move to the Cubs. So we have Andrew McCutchen going to the Pittsburgh Pirates. So let's recap it with the board. You've got Correa to the Cubs, Olsen and Cruz to Milwaukee, Schwarber and Tepera to the Cardinals, Ketel Marte to the Yankees, Gleyber Torres and Luis Gil to Arizona, Chris Bryant to Toronto, Story to the Mariners, Simmons to the Astros, Freeman and Peterson to Atlanta, Rizzo to the Yankees, Rosario to the Rangers, Kershaw to the Rangers, J-Ram traded to the Mets, Kenley Jansen and Castellanos to Philly, Conforto to the Mets, Suzuki to the Giants, Soler to the Padres, Rodon and Chapman to the Dodgers, and McCutchen winds up back in Pittsburgh. Whew. Again, wow. Let's reset the timeline. All right, timeline is reset. We are back. Things are going a little bit smoother now. We're back in a world where, again, Carlos Correa has only rejected the 10-year deal for $275 from Detroit. Everything is good, and we keep on moving here. So let's go. Wait, hold on. Another Nexus event. What's happening this time? They're telling me the variant's on the move. The variant is on the move to Houston. He's going back to Houston. Carlos Correa going to Houston. Let's break it down. What's going to happen if he goes back to the Astros? All right, here's the map. We've got Correa to Houston. So what happens if he goes to Houston? It's going to be a little bit of the two multiverses combined. So let's get into it. Ketel Marte. We had Ketel Marte traded to the Yankees in the last version. Ketel Marte going to the Yankees in this one as well. So we send Marte to the Yankees. It is again Gleyber Torres and Luis Gil that will go to Arizona. Next up, Luke Voit. Luke Voit will be traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. And it is going to be Lorenzo Cain coming back, going to the Yankees. So the Yankees get Marte and Cain in this scenario. The Blue Jays, see the Yankees make that big move. And just like before, the Blue Jays go and get Jose Ramirez. So J-Ram goes to the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are going to send Randall Grichuk and other pieces to Cleveland. So Cleveland gets Grichuk and a bunch of prospects, good prospects from the Blue Jays. Now the Blue Jays, when they make that trade, sending Randall Grichuk out opens up a spot for them to add a DH. And the Blue Jays go and get Kyle Schwarber. So the Jays in this scenario get J-Ram and Schwarber. The position will be there. The money will be there. Don't doubt it. So you got Schwarber to the Blue Jays. So now, of course, Boston, again, they've seen Ketel Marte come into the division. They've seen J-Ram and Schwarber is staying in the division. So they have to go out and, again, they make the trade for Matt Olson. Olson to Boston. Again, Tampa looking at this, they say, oh no, we cannot. We need more power. Nelson Cruz back to Tampa. So we have sort of everything falling into pieces with the American League East. We still have those West teams. We still have Chris Bryant, Trevor Story, free agents. Where are they going to go? Let's stick with Story to Seattle. All right, I think that makes a ton of sense. It's a position that they could use. It's a player that they could use. I like that, so we're going to keep that. And they're going to go get Suzuki as well. With so much happening in the American League East, at this point, all of the big names, all of the big moves have gone to the American League. So Seattle, listen, they're going to take themselves seriously. They want to be a contender, not just for the West, but to win the World Series. So they got to make some moves. They get Suzuki. They get Trevor Story. Some win-now moves. And they're not done. The bullpen. It is a Ryan Tepera edition as well. So Seattle goes nuts. Story, Suzuki, and Tepera, one of the best relievers that's available. So now Texas sees everything going on. Texas sees, Correa's back. Look what Seattle just did. So now it's time for Texas. Now it's time for Texas to go get their pieces. It is the Rangers that will go and get Carlos Rodon, not the Angels. The Rangers snag Carlos Rodon, and they make a trade for Sonny Gray. So the Rangers Rangers, you want to go win the West? Do this. They signed Carlos Rodon. They trade for Sonny Gray, and I still think they could use some more bats. It's Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler goes to the Rangers. The Rangers grab Rodon and Gray and Soler. Look what happens when Correa goes back to Houston. It triggers a seismic shockwaves in the American League West with Seattle and Texas. So next up, the shockwave continues. It leaks to the National League, if you will. Chris Bryant will go back to San Francisco. All of these pieces off the board. There are less teams in the market for Chris Bryant, so his asking price comes down a little bit, takes a shorter deal, goes to San Francisco, and the San Francisco Giants not done. They go out and get a one-year deal with Jock Peterson. So Jock Peterson finds a home in San Francisco. Now, all this going on, we haven't forgotten. Freddie Freeman still needs a landing spot, right? And again, we're not going to steal Carlos Correa's thunder. We will send Freddie Freeman back to Atlanta. I still think, again, that's the odds-on favorite. And Rosario. Again, the Braves bring back two pieces. They've done that in each of these scenarios. It's been Freeman and a different piece each time. This time, it's Rosario. Conforto will find his way to the Marlins again. And the Mets. Again, Mets. It's not going to be it, right? This isn't where it ends. The Mets are going to make a move. The Mets, again, in this scenario, they will, oh boy, let's not move that. The Mets will go and get Chapman and Manaea. So the Mets make another big move as they trade. Last time, if he goes to the Cubs, we have him traded for J-Ram. This time, it is, again, similar to when he was with the Yankees. It is a Manaea and a Chapman deal. Philly sees this. Philly's got to get involved. They're going to bring in Nick Castellanos, and they trade for Craig Kimbrell to bolster that bullpen. They get the elite top-line closer with Kimbrell. Next up, the Cubs are still going to get involved here. The Cubs aren't going to sit this out. There's talk about the Cubs making a trade for Hosmer. We're going to get a trade for Eric Hosmer to the Cubs, which frees up the first base position for San Diego, which sends Anthony Rizzo to the Padres. Rizzo to the Padres. Now the Dodgers. What are the Dodgers going to do? The Dodgers bring back two of their own. The Dodgers bring back Kenley Jansen, and they bring back Clayton Kershaw on a one-year deal. The Rangers went bigger with Sonny Gray and Carlos Rodon, so Kershaw goes back to the LA Dodgers. And there is our Correa-verse to the Astros. If he goes back to Houston, that is what is set off. Let's pull up the board again and take a look at all of the movement in a recap scenario. Correa to Houston, Marte to the Yankees, Kane to the Yankees, Torres and Heel to the Diamondbacks, Voit to the Brewers, J-Ram and Schwarber to the Blue Jays. Grichuk goes to the Guardians. Olsen comes to Boston. Cruz back to Tampa. Seattle, Story, Suzuki, Tepera. The Rangers, Rodon, Gray, Soler. San Francisco, Bryant and Peterson. The Braves, Freeman and Rosario. Conforto goes to the Marlins. The Mets, Chapman and Minaya. The Phillies get Kimbrel and Castellanos. The Cubs trade for Hosmer. The Padres fill that first base void with Rizzo. And the Dodgers get Kershaw and Kenley Jansen. Quite the scenario regardless if he goes to Houston, if he goes to the Cubs, if he goes to the Yankees. The point is you can see players landing in different spots depending on where Carlos Correa goes. It opens up new needs or grabs the attention of rival executives to then make a corresponding move to improve their team. Some of this is a little dramatic and some of it is pretty far reaching, but I hope you get the point. This is for fun. In the end of the day, this is for fun. You guys know my straight up true predictions. This is a fun scenario. Just trying to have a little fun. Hope you guys are having fun. We're trying to stay happy and keep busy during the lockout. Everybody that is watching the recorded version of this, I appreciate you being here. If you're live, hang with me for a few minutes and we will talk some more. But everybody that is watching the replay, because remember, this was live. Maybe it didn't feel live for a few minutes there, but this is live, and I am going to talk to those who are in the live chat. I appreciate you watching this video. Again, if you missed the Freddie Freeman multiverse video, that is up on the channel. I will tag that to the end of this video for you to check out. Make sure to subscribe if you're just finding the channel for the first time, and smash that like if you want this lockout to be over. Smash that like if you want Carlos Correa. Smash that like. So I appreciate you, Ballcap Nation, for your support since we started this channel. So I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for spending some time with the channel. And as always, thank you for watching the video.